Chapter 2: A Forest Shrouded in Destruction. When Skatir woke up, the sun was high in the sky. As her eyes fluttered open, she was greeted by a blinding sunbeam that made her head throb like a drum. She sat up, disoriented, and took in her surroundings. Towering trees loomed above, their branches creaking softly in the stillness. The silence was oppressive, as if the forest was holding its breath in anticipation of something. Skatir struggled to her feet.
Where am I? How did I get here? And what about the others? Did they escape the griffin's deadly claws?
A shiver ran down her spine as she thought about it. She had to find out. The snow was a formidable foe, knee-deep in some places. As Skatir stumbled and staggered through the forest, a faint purple glow caught her attention. It flickered like a candle flame between the trees, beckoning her closer. Skatir's curiosity was piqued, and she approached the mysterious light slowly and with caution. As she drew nearer to the eerie glow, her eyes widened in terror. The trees, once proud and green, were now shrouded in a thick, purple-tinged smoke that seemed to writhe and twist like a living entity. It crept over the ground, seeping between the trees, and appeared to be sucking the very life force from them. Bright sparks crackled within the smoke cloud, and its edges churned and foamed like an otherworldly sea. Skatir watched in frozen horror as the smaller twigs and needles disintegrated into nothingness, followed by the thicker branches and the trunks, leaving behind only dead, hollow stumps, scarred and blackened. The smoke moved with an unnatural hunger, consuming tree after tree, leaving a trail of desolation in its wake. Skatir's gaze was drawn to the center of the destruction. There a griffin lay on its back, its once majestic body now being devoured by the same smoke cloud. The head and front legs were already nothing more than bare bones, while the upper body and wings were shrouded in the purple mist, slowly being consumed. The back legs and tail, still untouched, twitched as the smoke crept closer, as if the beast was still fighting against the inevitable. Skatir's mind reeled in shock, her breath caught in her throat. The monster she had fled from just hours before was now being consumed by this mystical, deadly smoke. She felt a shiver run down her spine as she realized that she was witnessing something that defied the natural order of the world. As Skatir stood transfixed in a mix of awe and horror, a tendril of purple smoke broke off, slithering towards her like a snake. She watched, paralyzed, as it reached out and touched her sturdy coat. The fabric seemed to drink in the smoke, and it began to seep up towards her face. Skatir's scream shattered the silence, and she ripped off the cloak, flinging it to the ground. The smoke cloud seemed to react to her scream. Multiple tendrils was now writhing towards Skatir. She stumbled backward, tripped, and fell onto the snow. Panic set in as she realized she was surrounded, the smoke closing in on her from all sides. She scrambled to her feet, heart racing, and took off in a desperate sprint. The forest seemed to shrink around her, the smoke-covered trees looming closer as she ran. Her legs and lungs burned, her breath coming in ragged gasps. She was cold, scared, and disoriented, with no idea how to escape. As she ran, Skatir caught a glimpse of a small pond out of the corner of her eye. It was her last hope. The smoke was closing in, and she knew she couldn't outrun it. With a surge of desperation, she made a beeline for the water, hoping against hope that it would provide a refuge from the deadly smoke. Maybe, just maybe, the smoke couldn't follow her under the surface. If she could hold her breath long enough, she might just survive. Skatir plunged into the icy pond. The water's cold sting was painful. She forced herself down and held her breath, willing herself to remain still. The cold water seeped into her bones, but her fear of the smoke kept her submerged. As she sat there, her lungs began to protest, screaming for air. Skatir knew she couldn't stay hidden much longer. With a slow, deliberate exhale, she emptied her lungs, and then, with a sense of trepidation, she pushed her head above the water. The pond's surface rippled as she stood upright, her torso breaking the surface. Skatir forced herself to take slow, quiet breaths as her eyes scanned the surroundings. The forest around the pond was a purple-hued nightmare, the smoke engulfing everything around the pond. Skatir stood as still as she could in the icy water, silently watching the destruction unfold. Tree after tree fell victim to the smoke's deadly grasp, reduced to hollow, scarred stumps. But the smoke, thankfully, seemed to shun the water, leaving Skatir alone as it crept through the forest. She watched in horror, her heart heavy with the weight of the devastation. The trees, once green and vibrant, were now nothing more than hollow, skeletal remains. After a long, painful wait in the icy pond, the smoke finally began to recede, moving towards the mountains. She waited as long as she could endure before emerging from her watery refuge. With a Herculean effort, she managed to scramble out of the pond, her body numb and exhausted. But Skatir knew she couldn't stay there. Surrounded by the remnants of the forest's destruction, she had to find her way back to the others and her village. She slowly got to her feet, her eyes scanning the horizon for the sun to locate south, where her village lay. To her horror, she realized she had to follow in the smoke cloud's wake.